What up, my name is Brad. Welcome back to 59 Gaming. Today, we're talking about Pokemon Gold, Silver, Crystal. If you watched the Pokemon Red, Blue, and Yellow one that went up yesterday, if you didn't, go check it out, but there's going to be a mega playlist that's linked in the description down below. Go check that out. I guarantee you'll like it if you do enjoy this video. But today we're talking about Gold, Silver, and Crystal. Pretty much just like the Red, Blue, and Yellow one, it's going to be mainly Crystal is what we talk about here. Because way back when there was a third game, it was almost always the upper echelon of the games. Truthfully, I think Yellow blows Red and Blue out of the water. I think Crystal blows Gold and Silver out of the water. Emerald, Platinum, so on and so forth. Those are quite literally all the ones that have the 3 games. Those are the classic Pokemon games, if you will. Either way, if you enjoy the content on this channel, make sure you leave a like, subscribe to the channel, it's greatly appreciated, and follow us on Twitter at 59Gaming. You can also follow me at BradicaLYT. It's greatly appreciated if you do enjoy the content enough for that. Let's get in, let's talk about what I would consider the perfect sequel to a game. All right, let's kick this off with a little bit of story time for you. So picture your little kid, Brad, in the year probably 2001. I just got a Game Boy SP. I'm playing Dragon Ball Z Boo's Fury. That's about where I'm at. We're going on a road trip. We stop by a Walmart, and I see Pokemon Crystal. And I'm like, Mom, I gotta have that. She buys it for me. Sit down in the back of the car. Remember, I got a light-up screen at this point, so it's like pitch black outside. All I can see in the back of my car, my mom's car, I didn't own the car, all I can see is my screen. Boot up Crystal, walk out into the grass, and the Pidgey sprite moves. My mind was quite literally blown. I didn't even know that could be a thing. I literally had no clue. Moving sprites nowadays, obviously we have models and not sprites. There are definitely times I do prefer the sprites. I like the models too for the most part. Some of them are a little bit lifeless compared to the old school models. But if we're talking about just a phenomenal experience, seeing those moving sprites for the first time in color and everything, genuinely mind-blowing. Pokemon Gold, Silver, and Crystal are the first time that Pokemon really kicks it off with lore. Yes, in Red, Blue, and Yellow, you have Mewtwo being made in the lab and everything, but that's like into a movie, right? So we all know that story of Dr. Fuji making Mewtwo, using his cells, etc., etc. If you go into the manga, it goes even deeper. Blaine ties into it, all this kind of stuff, right? But Gen 2 actually having legitimate lore behind stuff that's not just directly said to you. Yes, it's said to you, but through NPCs and stuff like that. So when you talk to people in Ecruteak, and you learn that there were 3 nameless Pokemon, that when the tower burned down, they died, Ho resurrected them because he's a phoenix. More than likely, they were evolutions that turned into the legendary dogs. That's genuine lore to me. Obviously, the Pokemon movie 2000 with Lugia and the birds, to me, I've always kind of just seen it as, hey, let's just sell, the birds. The birds needed to have, like, a leader, so I'm totally cool that there's got to be some kind of, like, I think there was supposed to be a different trio that tied in with Lugia. I don't know. Gold, Silver, and Crystal are very weird times in Pokemon because that whole Space World demo years ago came out, and it turns out Gold, Silver, and Crystal are nothing what we thought they would be or, like, what they were supposed to be. They cut out like 50, 60 Pokemon, tons of baby Pokemon, because breeding was going to be a huge thing. We'll get to that point later down in this video as well. But they cut out tons of that kind of stuff. And it's honestly, it's a whole different game than it was supposed to be. I highly recommend, if you ever get a minute, go look up unused content. Just on YouTube in general of Gold, Silver, and Crystal. There's a lot. But a lot of it ties into lore with the unknown. Come to find out with Heart Gold and Soul Silver, it ties into Arceus. The Johto region has a very prolific lore base in the Pokemon world because it ties into Sinnoh, which obviously in a video or two from now, we'll be talking about that. But it has a very prolific spot in the Pokemon world because of what it does. It ties together with Kanto, obviously being Generation 1, and then into Sinnoh, which is obviously like the progenitor generation. Like that's like where all the gods are at and everything, right? Gen 2 is fantastic. Lore in it is amazing. Yeah. Shiny Pokemon. We've all seen the red Gyarados. Now, my first shiny Pokemon actually was a Ditto. I can't even fully remember when I encountered it. But I know what happened. Because I had that Ditto up until probably a couple of years ago. I don't think I have it now. I don't think I moved all the way into home and everything. But I distinctly remember we were driving to Texas or something, and shiny Pokemon, man. This is where it all started. Now, I think, obviously, shiny Pokemon have become one of the peak things in Pokemon. Scarlet and Violet shiny suck, but it is what it is. It's fine. But they become one of the things that's one of the biggest sellers of the entire franchise. Like a community day for Pokemon Go that quite literally keeps that game kind of moving. I like Go, but you know what I mean. So, this is where it all started. That red Gyarados kicked it off for a lot of people. My first shiny, it probably was the Gyarados, but I distinctly remember getting a blue Ditto. I didn't know this. Come to find out, this is a little fun fact for you guys. The egg that you get from the older couple, like whenever you first walk in to Goldenrod, and you go to that breeding center and they give you an egg, that egg's like, it's like a 1 out of 64 chance that it'll hatch a shiny baby Pokemon. I never knew that until like 5-6 years ago. I had no idea. So if you're playing through the old games, I will say Gold, Silver, and Crystal are like, they're the last time. Well, actually, no. They're the very end of their thing, and you can't transfer Pokemon from them. There are ways to do it, but we're talking crazy means and hacking, and it's just not even worth it, honestly, at that point. But so you can go back through and play them, but whatever Pokemon you get, they're not transferring through. But it's a really cool little thing. Another fun fact for you, if you move the eggs in a Pokemon Stadium 2, you can actually see which one is shiny, because the egg will be a different color. Just a fun fact for you. Breeding is pretty cool. It's become a staple in the Pokemon franchise. I mean, you have to do it to get competitive Pokemon for the most part. Obviously, you can poke each other and whatever else, but you know what I mean. If you're playing legitimate means, you pretty much gotta breed to have Pokemon you're ever gonna play online. Good luck finding 6 IV Pokemon in the wild. So for the most part, I want these videos to be positive and just kind of fun looking back. The one thing I will say about revisiting Gold, Silver, and Crystal, GSC, is it is horribly paced. I get the idea. Hey, go wherever you want to go, man. Have a good time. Do what you want to do. It makes it horribly paced. You can get to like the 7th gym leader and he has level like 30s. It's the worst in that sense. It's not groundbreaking. It's not game breaking. It's not that big of an issue, truthfully. But if we're talking about when everybody kisses Gen 2's butt, it's like, relax a little bit. The pacing is horrific. Going back to Kanto in the story, whew, that is like unmatched to this day. Having a whole second Kanto region, that's the word. Having a whole second region to explore. It's still to this day, my gosh, the feeling when you went back there and it was like, holy cow. Now with that said, as a grown man, those gym leaders suck. They're like level like 40. Brock has like some of the highest levels in the entire game. It's very confusing. It doesn't bug me too much. It's great in the overall sense of the story, but when we're talking about mechanics, it's probably the one negative. Is that, man, Gen 2 just does not know its leveling. That's a for sure. The last 2 talking points are going to be both Mount Silver and Red, and then, of course, the rival, like we did with the first one with Blue and Gary. Now, you don't get much better than the end of Pokemon Crystal. Gold, Silver, Crystal. You know, let's talk about Crystal. You don't get much better. You beat the Elite Four, you go beat all the gym leaders, you beat the Elite Four again, and it's still Lance, which I do like to this day, and they tell you, like, hey, now you got to go up to Mount Silver. Red should be up there. You go to Mount Silver, it's crazy. You can get, like, Larvitars and Pupitars, and it's awesome. Donphan, my favorite Pokemon. Catch all that kind of stuff. Get in there, go all the way to the top. You find Red, and he's got, like, legitimately level 80s. Well, Pikachu. And it's amazing. It is still, to this day, probably, aside from Legends Arceus, probably the best ending to a Pokemon game, in my opinion, is meeting Red at the end, beating him, because then it just ties off Gen 1 and 2 so nicely together. Puts a little bow on it, wraps it up nicely, here you go, boom. And then we'll kick it off fresh with, obviously, Ruby, Sapphire, and Emerald. Now, when it comes to Silver as a rival, Silver has a very big backstory that not many people know. He is Giovanni's son. That is confirmed. That's Heart Gold, Soul Silver. There's an event with Celebi / the spiky-eared Pichu where you find out that Silver is, in fact, Giovanni's son. More than likely with one of the Team Rocket admins that you fight, or executives throughout the game. I don't remember what her name is exactly, but she has red hair. Looks exactly like Silver. And the first time, he's legitimately the only rival that's just a criminal. He literally just steals, and he's just an a-hole. That's his entire character. And then by the end of the game, he's like, bro, this is not working out. I guess I should be nice. And you see that. His Golbat changes into Crobat. and he stops being as much of an a-hole. He's still an a-hole, but it is what it is, right? But it's having an actual rival that's a genuine criminal that separates him from everything else. He's not just a dick. He's not nice and cheering you on. I'm not the biggest rival fan nowadays. I like Nimona a lot, actually, but I'm totally good on Hop, and I'm totally good on How, and I'm okay. I'm not a big fan of the rivals that are like, yeah, go get it. It's like, yeah, okay, thanks. You got it, bro. Like, will do. That's not really my cup of tea. But then Silver's the opposite of that. And like I say, he's literally just a criminal stealing things from everybody. So, as I said at the beginning of this video, the follow-up, what I would say the perfect sequel to a game. Gold, Silver, and Crystal. I give it an 8.5 out of 10, but I can easily see people swinging a 9. The only reason I say 8.5, again, it's just a slow terms. It's just very slow. You do have the running shoes, which is fantastic. Oh my gosh. Red, blue, and yellow are almost unplayable without the... I don't know how people do it, but props to them. The ones who make video... No, stop. So I would say 8.5 out of 10 because I do consider it to be one of the best sequels ever. That's in gaming in general. Because it's more of a timing thing. When all these games came out, again, like I said in the red, blue, and yellow one, it was groundbreaking. It was like nothing else we had seen. There was nothing else like it. There's a reason Pokemon Fever happened. And everything. If these games came out nowadays, and even if they looked amazing, these stories would be nothing mind-blowing. They're still solid. But Team Rocket coming back, and Silver being the sun, and you going down, you beating Red, and, you know, usurping your predecessor, and just everything is a culmination come together as it's peak fiction, to be honest with you. Everything about it is great. I could see people swinging a 9 out of 10. Anybody that tells you the original Gen 2 is a 10 out of 10, they're just lying to themselves. It's okay. You can like it that much, it's okay. But, no, 9 out of 10, fine. 10 out of 10, bro? Come on. It's better than, like, Breath of the Wild and stuff? Relax. Pull it back a notch. Pull it back. I totally get it. I say 8.5 strictly as somebody nowadays who, when you play through a game, like Scarlet and Violet is so fast-paced compared to, like, Gold, Silver, Crystal, Red, Blue, and Yellow. It's so incredibly slow. That's the only reason I would say not a 9 out of 10. But 8.5 out of 10, and they are fantastic. I can actually go back and play Crystal pretty regularly. At least once a year, I go back and at least play it for a couple hours, get to about the 5th, 6th gym, and then I pop it back down again for a little while. But fantastic games. If you enjoy the content that's on this channel, make sure you leave a like, sub, and follow us on Twitter at 59gaming. You can follow me at RadicalYT. Thank you so much. Deuces.